just in front of the Mayflower. Tiny vessel. Think of the conditions of this vessel crossing the Atlantic. A small band arriving here on the eastern border of the United States, then an unknown continent, faced with thickets of jungle in front, rumors of hostile quote-unquote savages and quote-unquote barbarians, no certainty about the future, but what they did have, with the sea behind them and the thickets and the savages in front of them, they did have the Bible, God up there. And that's what drove the early Americans, a vision of a new society, a vision of hope, of optimism, and the chance to create a completely new kind of society that would become a role model and ideal type for the rest of the world.
My ancestors from my grandfather's family arrived here, and I'm excited that we're here. I know I just took a picture from my grandma. I know she'll be excited.
I am a distant cousin of my student and assistant Haley Bolt. What's your ancestor?
I am the 11th generation descendant of Dr. Samuel Fuller, one of the pilgrims that arrived in the ship in 1620.
Fuller, why would he have boarded a ship like this, frail ship like this, and cross the Atlantic and come to the United States?
He was part of the group that had been enlightened, that was searching for freedom to practice their own religion. They weren't interested in converting other people to their religion, but felt that they wanted to be able to practice without being told by the British government, the king, that they should not be doing that. They felt that they had different interpretations of the Bible. They felt that a lot of the pomp and circumstance practiced by the English church was contrary to what should actually be the meaning.
Suppose Dr. Fuller and his small band were alive today, in America today, what would they recognize and what would they be shocked at?
They would probably be shocked at the majority of it. They were, you know, they had what they referred to as a Thanksgiving, and that was giving thanks to God. You know, that was what their holidays were about. And to see what had come about from their original thoughts, I think they would be probably quite horrified.
Yes. Maybe I should introduce myself. I'm Samuel Fuller.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. I told you I knew much about him. I am the deacon here as well as a surgeon.
And what motivated you to come here?
Land. That's why we all come here. Land. Property. That's what we were just speaking about. Here, what's wrong with this man?
At this moment in time, when this boat, the small boat, lands on the eastern board of this continent, a catalyst is put in motion that will lay down the seeds of this great nation, the United States of America, which will in time dominate so much of the world through its political power, through its economic power, and above all, through its cultural power. And it all began here in 1620. Plymouth Rock. Not a very impressive looking rock, in fact disappointingly ordinary, and yet highly symbolic and appropriately covered now with almost a temple-like structure. Greek columns, high ceiling, and a magnificent vista of the Atlantic Ocean. In a settlement, a plantation village, created or rather recreated exactly as it would have been in the 17th century when the first immigrants arrived. And then when you look around, you see the tough, harsh conditions that they faced and that they had to overcome. So it really was a fight for survival. It really meant that if they survived, they were able to create conditions for a new kind of society. So a new, tough breed was being settled here who would in time go on to colonize, settle and inhabit the entire continent and shape first the continent and then the rest of the world. And today in the 21st century have a great, great impact on the entire planet. And what is the greatest challenge you face here as a community?
Oh, your challenge here is no different than anywhere else in the world, sir. Your hardest work here is to avoid sin.
Sin and the Native Americans?
No, sin, to
Just
avoid
sin?
temptation.
Temptation from what? I don't see very much around
Satan,
here too.
From the devil.
Where's the devil? In what form does the devil appear?
In all forms.
God.
God?
I would say something sent by God, because God sends all things.
A threat. And what danger do you face here as a society?
The natives.
Natives?
Natives, we've had threat of drought, threat of war, threat of massacre, and all of those.
They've in fact been attacking you or threatening?
They've made threats, but we've never had something come apace of it.
That some of these people had to go through. It's just incredible. And
Just
the physical task of establishing a settlement here and having it stay, with being so far from England, so far, you know, the supplies weren't there. It's very difficult.
And the walls they've constructed against
yes,
Native Americans.
and animals and whatever else was out there. I mean, it's surrounded by the ocean on one side and the thickets, and it really is like that. So
it really is.
It's an
So you have
incredible story of survival.
the Atlantic Ocean
Yeah.
at the back, jungles in front,
Jungles.
and an embattled community with God.
God.
above.